Welcome to the B-Max Sports Podcast.
Angel, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Make sure to subscribe on all platforms.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Hope you enjoy the show.
In 3,
We're already rolling.
1.
You can count down all you want, brother.
Gang.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Take Josh in the Morning. Another episode of the very best podcast in Middle Georgia.
And that's big facts.
We don't give an absolute shit what you say. We are the best podcast in Middle Georgia. Okay, so to start off this podcast, it may bore some of you, but I promise you if you bear with us for the first 15 minutes, I'm finna drop an absolute fucking bombshell on the podcast universe. We very may well have information that can lead to the closing of a 25-year-old cold case. Is it 25?
No.
It's at least 20-year-old. I
Yeah,
can't remember
at
the
least
exact
20
date
years old.
he went missing. But you guys are going to want to stick around for that. But first, you're going to have to listen to me and Josh talk about one of our favorite sports, the UFC, of course. UFC 251 took place on Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. YAS Island. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it properly, but yes, it did take place. Fight Island was amazing, and the card really delivered. It was a great card. It featured 3 title bouts, and we'll start with the first title bout was the Bantamweight Championship, the vacant title. Since Triple C, Henry Cejudo retired, there was a vacant Bantamweight belt. Peter Yan took on legendary, probably the best featherweight to ever do it, Jose Aldo. And Jose has looked decent at bantamweight, I must say. Even in the loss to Peter Yan, he still looked quick and everything. So, what is next? That fight delivered. That was a good fight. Peter Yan ended up getting him out of there. A little late stoppage, in my opinion. The referee, I don't know if he was playing Ring Around the Rosies with the ring girls or what he was doing.
Jose was getting his head bounced off the freaking mat, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Getting bounced.
What was if you're a referee, your number one objective in there is fighter safety. I understand it's a title belt. They want to let him go a little longer than a regular bout, but dude, he was not fitting to win that fight. He was down big, and he was only taking more punishment.
They've been taking a lot of crap though, the refs, because there's been so many fights that a lot of people have said, "Hey, you stopped that too early." And I can see where, when I was watching that fight, I could see where everybody was like, why isn't he stopping it? Why isn't he stopping it? He was still covering his head for the most part. And he was still trying to at least do the minimum amount of defense that you can do when you're getting your head knocked off the canvas. So, I think he stopped the fight too late, but I can see where he came from, because those guys really are supposed to give those dudes every...
Sorry, guys, I just spilled Coke all over my fucking shorts.
They're supposed to give those guys every chance they have to be able to get out of that situation.
Right, and especially in a title fight, you want to give the guy...
Yeah.
A lot of fighters never even get a title shot. So when they get there, you want to let them go a little bit.
I would have hated to see a situation where Aldo could have gotten out of that. And like I said, it was in the last round, so... And he had been pretty well taken care of the whole fight. It was a good fight. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Peter Yan.
But that's a bad dude.
Peter Yan's a bad dude. So what's next for the bantamweight division as far as the title goes? I think there's only one direction Dana White and the matchmakers are going to go. That's going to be Aljamain Sterling. That'll be an interesting matchup. Aljamain Sterling with his ground game talent. If he can get Peter Yan on the ground, I like Aljamain Sterling's chances. Not a bad boxer either, but Peter Yan is probably I'd say, top tier boxing of the bantamweight division. You've got Cody Garbrandt who can throw him, and you got Sugar Sean O'Malley who can throw him as well. Speaking of Sugar Sean O'Malley, he will be fighting early August. I can't even remember who it is, but man, he's definitely a fan favorite. If he wins this fight,
I'm going to sit here and stutter the whole time. I think this is a good choice for him, because I think that he needs one more just kind of so-so fight before they start giving him the big dogs. Because, like you said, he's been running through the past few guys that he's fought, but I don't want to see him not get enough experience and not get placed in decent fights to give him the edge where if he does come up against one of these big guys, he's been more places than he hasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He reminds me a lot of Conor McGregor, and I think the UFC's treating him a lot like Conor McGregor. A lot of fights early. He's fought already 3 times this year, and August will be his 4th fight already. So, shit, he's probably going to fight 5 times this year, unless he gets it, suffers an injury or something like that. So you can look for him to be fighting probably by the end of the year, maybe a Cody Garbrandt, because I don't see Cody Garbrandt fighting anytime soon. He's fighting top tier talent, so he's gonna have to sit out for a little bit. All right, so the next title fight took place in the featherweight division, and was a rematch of Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. The first fight was kind of close. I think it was pretty clear Alexander won the first fight. In my opinion, Max Holloway begs to differ. He thinks he won the first fight. I would have to disagree with him. But this fight, I think Max did win. I really do. I think he won 3 rounds to 2. It's hard for me to see a way that Volkanovski won that fight, and I know it was a split decision, but even Dana White was critical of the judges in the post-fight or post-card press conference. Very critical of them, and I think rightfully so. I think now what happens with that division, because I think Max won that, and he's already had a rematch. Do you make that fight a 3rd time? I don't think that's an option. I think there's a lot of smoke. Volkanovski has been calling out Henry Cejudo on Twitter. Henry Cejudo wants that fight. Can he come and be a 3-division world champion, the first one ever? If anybody can do it, I think it's Henry Cejudo. Then we'll call him, instead of Triple C, Quadruple C.
Yeah. He'll
have a gold medal in the Olympics wrestling, flyweight world champion, bantamweight world champion, and featherweight world champion. He'll be, in my opinion, the combat sports GOAT if he can pull that off. I'm not saying MMA GOAT, but combat sports GOAT. And he'd definitely be in the discussion for the MMA GOAT as well.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, Alexander, like you said, it was pretty close. I was just glad he won because, dude, I had my picks for this fight. And there was some that I just picked just because obviously I picked my girl Van Zandt because she's a freaking baddie. But
I actually picked against her.
I picked her because I just can't. I can't go.
Well, I don't think. Speaking of Paige Van Zandt,
these are the only ones that I got. Alexander was the only one that I picked right.
I picked Max Holloway, and if I would have won that, I went 4-1 on the main card. Mm-hmm. If I would have won that fight, I would have finished. I invested $3 on DraftKings into this lineup. I still produced. I think I won like $14. But if I would have won that fight, we would have been up there probably nearing $1,000 probably if I would have won that fight. And I thought he won. I was absolutely cussing the TV out. I picked Kamaru Usman. That's our next fight. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back to the featherweight division. What happens there? I think Holloway would need one more fight to get back to maybe a trilogy. He looked really good, though. He really did. He looked a lot better than he did the first fight. But Alexander Volkanovski, his leg kicks are vicious. How does he match up with Henry Cejudo? Normally, I think Henry Cejudo would be significantly undersized for the featherweight division, but Volkanovski's a shorter guy. Doesn't have a lot of reach. He's real short and stumpy, but he can brawl. There's no doubt about it. But I think if Henry Cejudo had to pick who he'd match up better against in the featherweight division, I think it'd definitely be Volkanovski. That's just my opinion. So if he wants to come back, I'm all for seeing that fight. Dana White, of course, that'll be a big money fight. Be the first person to ever be a 3-division world champion. And that's something, like I said, it's never been done before. So I'm all for seeing new shit. So, and then, of course, the last title bout, fuck, what a snooze fest. Kamaru Charles Snoozman. God, I don't like any. I'm sorry, when I watch an MMA fight, I want to see dudes pursuing a finish and not fighting to just win. Now, Kamaru Usman did not want to stand and trade with Masvidal.
No.
Can't blame him for that. But when you get him on the ground, or if you got him up against the cage, I want to see knees, elbows, significant strikes. He fucking toe stomped him 200 times. I don't want to see that shit.
It's boring, and especially to people who you can appreciate the technicality if you're one of those people who are really, really, really into mixed martial arts.
Which I am. Yeah. That's the thing.
But that's the thing. I appreciate the technicality. But also, as a fan of combat sports, and I like seeing people get knocked the hell out, it was so boring.
I don't even care about
so
getting knocked
boring.
out. I like to see damage inflicted.
Yeah.
When you go in there, you're looking for the finish. You're looking for that $60,000, $50,000 bonus at the end of the fight. And Kamaru Usman is not. Even in the Colby Covington fight, okay, he finished him, whatever. Everybody talks shit about that. That, in my opinion, was a bad stoppage, in my opinion. If you let Jose Aldo go that long, Colby Covington, they stopped that fight way too early, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Did he have a broken jaw? Absolutely. He had a broken jaw.
Kamaru
Usman's not a bad boxer.
He fought through 3 rounds with a broken jaw. Did he break it in the second or third?
Second or third. One of the two. I think it was the third. Either way, I'm tired. Kamaru Usman, he has my respect as a champion. He's a good fighter. He's well-rounded. He can box a little bit. He can definitely wrestle. And what he's best at, in my opinion, is putting the fucking crowd to sleep. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of Kamaru Usman. I understand the fighting style. Tyron Woodley's a lot like that.
Do you think that, obviously he has done that multiple times, but do you think that the crowd not being there kind of just put him in a place where he doesn't even feel like he has to entertain anymore, that it's just another...
And he doesn't owe that to anybody. I'll say that right now. He doesn't owe me that I should be entertained by his fight. He owes me nothing. He owes the MMA world nothing. But to a certain degree,
but at the same
I just
time,
like people that look for the finish. Justin Gaethje looks for the finish. You look at Khabib. Even Khabib. Khabib's a wrestler.
Yeah.
His fights aren't boring. He fucking gets them on the ground and mauls them like a fucking tiger.
At the same time, even though you are a fighter first and foremost, at the same time, you are an entertainer. If you work for the UFC, you are an entertainer.
That, yeah. But his job that night was to retain his belt. He absolutely did that job. But he did that job in the most fucking boring fashion I might have ever seen in my fucking entire life. And I've been watching MMA since I was a little boy. You could one day, if my dad ever comes up here, he's coming up for my sister's wedding, I want to get him on the podcast and just ask him what me and him used to watch when I was fucking like 5 and 6 years old. I'd watched it. He'd rent the fucking shit he'd rent the UFC's. My aunt worked at a movie gallery. We got a little 5-finger discount. We'd go up there and get the movies for free. And he'd have like 5 of them. While he was at work that day, I'd watch all fucking 5 of them. When the fights would come on, I'd be like, oh, I bet Ken Shamrock wins right here. He's like, motherfucker, now I don't even have to watch it. I know who wins. I was like, well, sorry. I've watched them all like 3 times a day. It's fucking... Unarmed combat is the most pure sport on earth, in my opinion. It's 2 fucking men in a cage. May the best man win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sometimes you're not...
I mean, as far as it goes, there's really not that many rules. I mean, there are, but there's not.
You can't kill somebody in there.
Yeah.
If you could, I could be in the UFC. I'd bring my gat in there and blast a bitch.
But I mean, as far as it goes, as far as sports just goes, there's not that many rules.
Right.
I mean, there are the exceptions.
And
did you see that guy get kicked in the nuts like 4 times in the prelims?
Yeah, I watched every fight, even the early prelims.
Got kicked, slamming the nuts 4 times.
There was a couple people that got kicked in the nuts. And then we saw a lot of foot stomping. Anyway, let's move on from 251. It was a good card, I'll say that. It lived up to the hype for me, with the exception. I really wanted to see Masvidal. And hats off to Masvidal for taking that final 6 days notice and stuffing Kamaru Usman on 70% of his takedown attempts. I mean, he's got good takedown defense.
Well, and even going 5 rounds in a championship fight, and even though it was a snooze fest, so there really wasn't much, it's still impressive that the only real injury he came out with was the split on his forehead, and that wasn't even from a strike. That was from an accidental headbutt.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
hats off to Jorge Masvidal. He's a gangster. Speaking of Jorge Masvidal, Ariel Helwani, who is the ESPN MMA reporter, he reported yesterday or the day before that McGregor and Masvidal are in negotiations. Now, I've seen several other articles that contradict this and say Masvidal's turned down the McGregor negotiations because he wants a rematch with Usman. The problem with that is he wasn't supposed to fight Usman in the first place. It was Gilbert Burns' title shot until he tested positive for COVID. So I think if you're the UFC, that's definitely a route you want to go back down, and I think that'll be a fucking brawl. Gilbert Burns is an animal, so dominated Tyron Woodley, who is seriously one of the best wrestlers in that division, and got scary knockout power and just fucking dominated him for however many. I don't know if that was a 5-round bout or 3.
I really want to see the I mean, just when
And
you
then-
told me
but
about it today, I want to see
Connor
it so
and
bad.
Masvidal, how
I want
gangster
to
would
see
that
it
be?
so bad because number one, both of those dudes, if given the chance, are animals in the cage.
And it's good. And Masvidal's not going to try to take
Yeah.
him down, and McGregor's dancing
And
not going to take him down.
they're going to sit there and they're
bang.
going to bang.
And it's going. And they both got scary power. Even McGregor at 170, I think he's got scary power.
Well, I mean, dude,
Masvidal
like we
hits
said-
hard. Masvidal's got good boxing, dude. He's a street fighter. That's what I want to see.
Well, it's like we said before. To me, the best Connor has ever looked was at 170.
Yeah,
I mean, even though he's a small 170,
he's not. I mean, he's smaller
yeah,
for 170.
I mean, he's a smaller
It's like
170.
5'7" or 5'8", something. Like
I mean, but Masvidal's 5'11", and is. But I just, dude, I want to see this fight. Dana,
I do too.
Dana, when you listen to this podcast,
Uncle Dana,
make it happen. Make it happen.
Pay Masvidal whatever. McGregor's gonna make his money. Pay Masvidal whatever. We want to see him get in the ring and throw
McGregor
down.
don't need no damn money, dude. Just give him Masvidal
Fuck
all
that.
the money.
He ain't fighting for free. If you're good at something, you don't do it for free.
No, you don't.
All right, so with UFC out of the way, let's jump into this fucking crazy situation that happened with an old podcast we did. So I can't remember how long ago it was. It was several months ago. We were talking about a cold case from Cumming, Georgia, Forsyth County. His name was Levi Frady, and he was 7 or 8 years old. Went missing.
11-year-old.
He was 11 when he went missing. Okay, 11-year-old. He went missing. I knew he was young. So I'm gonna take you through what happened. We recorded this podcast, and like I said, several months ago. And I had someone reach out to me who wishes to remain anonymous, and I will definitely respect that. So it's really hard for me to talk about her right now, dude. I got chills when I was on the phone with her. So she reached out through one of her friends' social media accounts, and she wanted to talk to me regarding the case. Said she had some very reliable information that she had heard from a direct source associated with people that are involved in this case. And I talked to her. She called me from a private number, of course. I respect her anonymity. And I'm going to tell y'all the series of events that she told me. Okay, Levi Frady's mother and father were divorced. Of course, that happens a lot in America today. His mother was involved with a boyfriend they were dating. And it was pretty well known throughout Cumming, Georgia, from the research I've done, that those two, the mother and the boyfriend, were on drugs. And so basically it was their addiction, from what I've gathered from this very reliable source, that got him killed, and it's unfortunate. So first off, some big questions we had from the last time we recorded about this podcast was, we thought it was fishy that the mother didn't call the police after her son was missing for a whole fucking night. So she confirmed that the mother knew what was going on. The mother owed drug money to some very powerful people in Forsyth County. And I'm going to go ahead and name them right off the bat. I'm going to fucking throw their names out there because I don't fear these motherfuckers. Even though she says they're very powerful and that's why she didn't go to the police. She was scared. The dudes she owed money to were Marshall Talent and Jackie Talent. Very powerful people back then in the late 90s. They were cousins. So they were over the drugs. And the person she got the information from was friends with, I think, both the Fradys and these Talent people. So the Talents wanted their fucking money, right? Of course, if you're owed money, you want your money. So they told the mother, hey, we're going to kidnap one of your kids, and we're going to hold them for ransom. Somebody will pay us the money you owe us, and your debt will be paid. They weren't planning on killing the youngster. So the mother was aware, told him, hey, it'll be easy to kidnap Levi. He's going to his friend's house. He goes every day after school. This is the route he takes home. They said, okay, do you pick him up or does he walk? He rides his bike. Okay, that's easy. They knew exactly where he was going to be. They probably followed him for a little bit, waited till there were no witnesses, pulled a gun on him, get your ass in the van, boom, end of story. Now, the mother's job in this kidnapping, because she was involved from what I was told. By the way, guys, don't shoot the messenger. This is what I was told. You want to fucking get pissed off at somebody, get pissed off at the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office for botching a fucking investigation. For 20 years, they haven't been able to figure out who killed this young man. So get mad at them, don't get mad at me. Anyway, now that I'm over being pissed off, the mother knew about it. Her instructions were to, 1, get the bike. 2, wipe the bike clear of all prints. That's why when the GBI and the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office found the bike, there would be no prints on it, not even Levi's. You tell me how the fuck an 11-year-old kid gets on a bike, rides it home, rides it to his friend's house every day, and he doesn't have his own fingerprints on it. Impossible, not possible. Don't give a shit the circumstances. It's impossible.
And I mean, the whole bike, too. I mean, you think about when you're a little kid, you're riding down the street on your bike, throw it in the ditch, run off, come back. You don't always grab it by the handles. You grab it anywhere by the seat. There's going to be no prints whatsoever.
There's going to be somebody's fingerprints on the bitch. There's no fingerprints on it. Okay, so that screams suspicion to me. Because if you're a killer and you've just abducted a young kid and he's not dead yet, are you fucking picking up his bike, wiping it, and then risking going back there and putting the bike back? No, you're not. That would look so suspicious. So the mother took the bike to her home, wiped it, took it back, threw it in the ditch. Okay. So they wanted to hold him for ransom. Okay, so like I told you earlier, Jackie and Marshall were in it together. Jackie did not partake in the physical kidnapping. That was only Marshall, from what I've been told. Marshall took the boy to his house, Marshall's house, where they would meet up the next day and, put out a ransom letter, I guess, do it, somehow make it public where they could get their money. So, but that night, before Jackie could even get there, Marshall Talent, a thing we should know about him before I get too deep into this, he had a lot of secrets. For a long time, he was in the closet sexually. He had a girlfriend, but he was also seeing males on the side. But this was not known at the time. Anyway, publicly wasn't known. So, apparently, Marshall, I hate to say it, raped him and sexually assaulted the young man. And this you get conflicting things when you look up, the autopsy and shit like that. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office said that there were no DNA, no signs of a sexual assault on the body. But when you ask the GBI, there was definitely a sexual assault that occurred. So, anyway, long story short, Marshall raped him, sexually assaulted him. When Jackie found out about it, he's like, oh shit, well, we can't let the boy go home now. We've got to kill him. So what do? They shoot him in the head. I think they shot him in the head. I'm not real sure where they shot him. They shot him, killed him, and then Marshall washed his hands with it. He's like, I'm done with it. Jackie took the body to the Dawson Forest in Dawsonville, Georgia, dumped him. Now, here's where the shit gets pretty fucked up, in my opinion. This is just a botched. There's one of two things that happened here. There was a fucking cover-up, or they botched this they really did botch this investigation that bad. And I just can't see how, especially when you look at the experience on this police force, how you botch an investigation this bad. The information I was given is that the cops were in on the Talent's drug ring. These Talent dudes were powerful. Supposedly they had connections in Forsyth County with their sheriff's office, and they had connections with the GBI. One of the officers, and I'm gonna name you, motherfucker, I already looked you up on Facebook. Don't play with me. He's got a nickname. His name's Boomer Bennett. He was one that was involved in profiting off this drug ring, which I think was pretty rampant in Forsyth County amongst the sheriff's department. I think a lot of people were profiting. So what does that mean for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office? They stand a lot to lose if these guys get caught. Because if they get caught, what are they looking for? They're looking for ways out, way to get plea to a lesser sentence. How do you do that? You fucking rat on people. So they're going to start calling out the cops. Hey, these motherfuckers are profiting off our drug ring. They're dirty cops. Give me a lesser sentence. So that they stand a lot to lose if they're found and convicted of murder, right? Okay, so this is just my thinking. So let's see what else I got in my notes. I'm sorry, guys. This is a lot of shit. it's really evident when you look at arrest records and shit that I've looked at since I've talked to this lady online. It's really evident that the Tallents do have some kind of connections. Jackie is like a 3-time felon, but has never been to prison. And that's really interesting to me because he was brought up on gun and drug charges in the early 2010s and never faced any jail time. The charges were dropped. So how do those kind of charges get dropped? To bring somebody on charges of gun charges and drugs, almost always they are caught with them in their possession. Almost always. They're caught red-handed in the act. How the fuck do you get out of that? Because he's like, hey, motherfuckers, I know y'all know about Levi Frady's murder. I'm finna start snitching on all y'all motherfuckers if I have to go to jail. That's how I look at it. So now it brings us to the next position, the next person of interest. Tommy Samples. How Tommy Samples plays into this. Tommy Samples was a young man who was sexually involved with Marshall Talent during and after Levi Frady's disappearance. So Samples knows what happened. I'll get into that a little bit later. Samples is also serving time right now in Valdosta State Prison for attempted murder. Who did he attempt to kill? None other than Marshall Talent. He's actually tried to kill him twice. Once 2 months after Levi Frady went missing, which is a strange coincidence. What argument would lead you to try to kill somebody? Maybe finding out your lover murdered an 11-year-old kid. Maybe finding out he raped an 11-year-old kid. I don't know. That's just my speculation. But the most recent time he tried to murder him was in 2013. Basically what happened is there was an argument, an altercation, where Samples claims that Marshall Talent pulled a gun on him, and Samples stabbed him, cut him open, and like his intestines and shit were hanging out. So basically, anyway, when he was interviewed in the police station, they're like, why'd you try to kill him? All right, no, let me reverse back because I'm getting a little ahead of myself. They went and interviewed Talent in the hospital after he got cut, and they were just talking to him. This is public information. You can find all this shit on the internet. And I fact checked all of this. So the Versailles County Sheriff's Office goes and investigate because there's an attempted murder going on. They have to investigate. So they go talk to the victim first. They're like, who stabbed you? He tells them who stabbed me. Tommy Samples stabbed me. Why would he stab you? He beat around the bush for a long time. And he's like, I don't know, he's crazy. He says, I killed Levi Frady randomly. The Levi Frady case was never brought up prior to him bringing it up. Why would he bring it up? There's something eating at this man. So, what do the Versailles County Sheriff's Office reply to this? They don't get a search warrant to search for the gun. Speaking of the gun, Samples was on record saying that the gun that was pointed at him when he reacted and stabbed Marshall Talent was the gun that killed Levi Frady. Did the Versailles County Sheriff's Office go and get a warrant to search for that gun? Absolutely not. They damn sure didn't. Did they bring in Marshall Talent for questioning on the Levi Frady murder? No, they didn't. Why? I need answers. Why? There's been people on record that are very reliable, very close to Marshall Talent, saying that, hey, this motherfucker is the one that killed him. And they're blatantly blowing it off as either they don't give a fuck or they're covering it up. One of the two. There's no way around it. Okay, so when this lady called me, there's some news that broke in the case, not in the case itself, but on some of the suspects. 6 or 7 days ago, the guy that she said, and I'm getting a little emotional here because it sucks, the guy she says that she knows for a fact killed Levi Frady died 7 days ago. Marshall Talent ordered like a Grubhub or either DoorDash to his house, and when the DoorDasher got there, they found him dead. What does that mean for this case, though? The case can still be solved, in my opinion. You don't have to have a confession to close the case. I think the case should have been closed a long time ago. If the Versailles County Sheriff's Office the Dawson County Sheriff's Office and the GBI would have worked together instead of, I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. It looks like a big cover-up to me, in my opinion. But, so what does that mean for the case? Okay, so Jackie was very involved in this murder, especially in the abduction and after the fact, when he went and hid the body. He needs to be brought to justice. So how can we go about bringing justice to Levi Frady, it's been long fucking overdue. I think everybody would agree with that. It's been long overdue. How can we go about doing this? So I've already got the wheels turning on this. I've contacted the GBI, and I left an anonymous tip, which I guess isn't very anonymous anymore because I just told y'all, which I really don't give a shit. And I talked to a couple people at the Georgia Department of Corrections. I want to talk to Tommy Samples, and see what I can get out of him. So one, I've got his address. I'm going to send him some mail and see if he'll get back to us. And maybe I can talk to him on the phone and maybe record it for us and see if I can fucking get him to spill the beans on what he knows about the murder. Because he knows, because he's said it several times. And the dude, why would he come out randomly and say that kind of shit? It doesn't make any sense. It's really frustrating for me.
I wonder how long it takes the GBI to do an autopsy, because it's sitting here. This here says that he died July 7th at 3, or was found July 7th at 3:30 and according to the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the home and identified him as Marshall Talent. An autopsy of Talent's body will be done by GBI Medical Examiner Office. No signs of
the
foul
girl
play.
did tell me this. She did tell me this when I talked to her. She said Marshall Talent was on his deathbed. So she didn't say he was dead. I still don't know if she knows he's dead right now.
Yeah.
But she was very. When you talk to somebody, you can tell a lot about a person's tone of voice and the manner in which they communicate. When she answered the phone, I could tell she was fucking scared. She was scared, which in turn made me scared. I was like, oh shit, well, she's fucking scared. I don't want to know what it is. Don't tell me. But I listened, and at the end, I could tell she was so relieved. And my biggest question for her was, why haven't you gone to the police? She's like, I'm pretty sure the police already know everything I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But they haven't done anything about it. She said, which we do have a little bit bigger, we don't have a whole lot of listeners, but we've got a few, and together we can fucking help try to bring these motherfuckers to justice. So, what's next for me as far as trying to figure out what the fuck happened? And this may be a small segment during each podcast until I get maybe a big break or something. My next thing is to try to get in touch with Samples. I know Jackie's not going to talk. Jackie's still alive, living in Cumming, Georgia. They own a body shop. Talent's auto repair or some shit. I know exactly where he's at. Somebody needs to turn up the heat on him. I don't know if he's ever been questioned. I know Marshall was questioned early on. But once somebody publicly announces during an attempted murder investigation that, hey, this motherfucker is the one that killed Levi Frady, I think it needs to be taken a lot more serious. Literally, the cops' response to that was, we're not worried about the Levi Frady case. That was 20 years ago.
And especially since he was already questioned in the Levi Frady. I mean, you get somebody who's already been questioned when the time of the murder happened.
Right.
And then you come out later and have a man who was obviously involved with this man, and he comes out and straight up tells you, I know
these are some bad motherfuckers.
He killed Levi Frady. It just blows my mind that the sheriff's department did not take it seriously.
You can look up the dialogue. One day probably this weekend when I get some free time, I'm going to do some more research on it. I'll send you screenshots of the dialogue that the GBI has. They're literal, because they have a voice recorder. They have a recorder on them at all times. This is literally exactly word for word what they said. We are not here for the Levi Frady case. That was 20 years ago. We're here for while you're in the hospital. Motherfucker, if you can break open a cold case, that's your job. That's why you're there, motherfucker. Well, I mean, your job just
one
changed.
Thing that's odd is because a lot of seasoned detectives, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes their dick hard, is getting information about a case that guys 20 years ago could not solve. It makes them feel like a better detective. It makes them feel like, I'm guessing it makes them feel like they're a little bit smarter than those other detectives, and they found their big break and they're ready to put somebody. I mean, because if you've ever watched anything about crime or anything about murders, after 48 hours, evidence just starts disappearing.
Right.
So
from my information I
You're
got,
going to get evidence from 20 years later and just pass it up?
the key to this investigation, the GBI has announced it publicly, and Forsyth County Sheriff's Office has announced it publicly. The key to getting a conviction in this case or getting the case closed is ballistics. They know what kind of gun killed him. They have the bullet, I believe, that would leave the barrel marks on the gun or on the bullet, on the casings or whatever. I don't know exactly how it works. But if they can find the gun, they can get a conviction. They can find out what happened. And for this dude to say, hey, he's still got the fucking gun in his possession and them not take it seriously is beyond disturbing to me. It makes me fucking sick to my stomach.
So they said he still has the...
That's what the dude said. That's what his boyfriend, lover, Tommy Samples, said when he was being questioned on the attempted murder, when Marshall Talent was in the hospital. They questioned him. They're like, why'd you stab him? He said, because he tried to kill me with the same gun he killed Levi Frady with. And they never got a search warrant trying to go find it.
This is a crucial time because if he does in fact still have the gun, and he, like we said, passed away 6 days ago.
Well, that was in 2013.
But that's what
Once
I'm saying.
he came out,
why would he come? Okay, if he had had the gun for that long, it happened in 1997. So if you have the gun for 16 years, why throw it out?
I think maybe
if he still has it, and they've got the house. Obviously there was a man found dead. A man that is 66 that is found dead randomly in the middle of the day. His house is definitely probably still in police jurisdiction. They could go in and try to find this gun.
But they haven't. That's the thing. And they haven't given us any confirmation on whether... I know you can look up search warrants, or any kind of warrants for that matter. There's been no search warrants to search his home before or after the stabbing, the attempted murder. It's just really confusing to me how badly this case was handled. And we've seen what people turning up the heat on motherfuckers can do.
Yeah.
We listened to the Up and Vanish podcast together pretty much the first season. Yep. And we saw how Payne Lindsay was able to turn that fucking investigation on its head and really start shaking the bitches down and getting people to talk. And I feel like the same can be done with this case. If we can get this out there, this information out there, put the pressure on these motherfuckers, they'll buckle because they're soft. Yeah. Motherfuckers don't murder 11-year-old little kids and sell drugs and shit like that if they're hard. If you're a hard motherfucker, you'll join the military. You'll fucking be in the gym every day. You're not murdering 11-year-old little kids. That doesn't make you fucking hard. That makes you a coward. And I don't fear any of you bitches. That's just how I roll.
Well, and whenever if they have this, if we could get in touch with his boyfriend, lover, who was in jail, and he talks. Last thing I do. Right now, the lady at the GFC, now is the time to do it because you've got access. You've got access to his home. Complete access, and there's nothing he can do right now to tamper with evidence. So you can go in, you can find that firearm. If they find that firearm and match ballistics, that is the end of the case.
Right.
And if not, if anything, obviously, his parents might have changed their life, but obviously they don't give a damn about their kid. But at least this could bring justice for his twin sister.
Right. I agree. I don't think the twin sister was involved. She was too young. So I would agree she'd want justice. But I've seen her talk on a lot of forums and a lot of stuff. She's been public about the situation. She doesn't believe her family was involved at all. And nobody wants to believe their mother or somebody that is supposed to love them could be involved. But her mother, in her defense, was strung out on drugs, which is it's an addiction. It's really powerful. And she was not aware that her son was going to be sexually assaulted and raped and killed. She thought he was going to be held for a ransom and then turned over. It doesn't make the situation any better, but it's time for her to come forward too. Yeah. She's probably a fear that she'll be put in jail, or fear of retribution from the Talents and all those powerful people in Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and all that. But
I just don't see, dude. I don't see at any point whether you're on drugs or not. And people are gonna say, "Well, drugs is a powerful thing," dude. That's your child.
I agree.
Your child. That is your child that you literally sacrificed up, and you knew how bad these people were because obviously they straight up told you, "You don't give us the money, we're gonna kidnap your kid." You knew how, no matter what kind of trouble you would get in for going to the police, do whatever you could to save your kid's life. I mean, it just makes no. I mean,
it fucking blows my mind, dude. Honestly, this case is so mind blowing. When I looked this case up months ago, it really struck something in my heart that this kid hasn't had justice yet, and he can't rest in peace. I feel like until there's justice brought and somebody can prove what happened to him. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. Speaking of, like I said, I've been in contact with the GDOC, some representatives. Right now with COVID-19 going on, it's really going to be hard to get to Valdosta and get there and talk to him face to face, which is what I would really like to do. But I believe I'm going to send him a letter this weekend, and I believe with a little incentive on his end, maybe some commissary or something, I can get him to make a phone call to me and speak with me on the case.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, I promise you it will be recorded and we will talk about it on the podcast. I want to know everything. I want to know what happened. And I'm really good at convincing people to spill their guts. I'm going to tell him, look, motherfucker, this kid was 11 years old. His killer is now dead, so we will not see complete justice, but we need him to rest in peace.
What I don't understand is I don't know what he's sentenced for.
He's sentenced for attempted murder.
So he in there for a very long time.
No, he gets out in 2023.
2023?
Yeah. That's his max. He could get out earlier.
Yeah.
Because that's his max possible release date. So.
But I mean, at this point, he's dead. What do you have to lose?
You don't have anything to lose. In my opinion,
if he was not involved in it like he had claimed in the past,
I don't think he's involved.
Then what do you have to lose?
I think he's known about it for a long time, and that's something I know for a fact that's probably weighing on him. Like, hey, I need to get this shit off my chest. And who other to tell than me? I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the fucking Talents. I don't know them, so how can I fear somebody I don't know? If they come down here, speaking of which, if I come up committing suicide anytime soon, just know that's bullshit. I love my life. So that's bullshit. Y'all motherfuckers better take up the BMAX Sports Podcast with Josh and start investigating that shit immediately, because that's bullshit.
And I'll find your killer, buddy. Don't you worry.
We will have updates with this, but I've got his information where I can send him a letter and contact him out. I'm gonna send him a letter with my phone number on it, and hope he doesn't get out and kill me, because he's pretty violent apparently, because he tried to kill.
I mean, how old is he now?
I don't know. He was born in 77. I know that.
So he's 46?
I'm really
48,
bad at math.
almost 50 years old?
I'm really bad at math. I don't know. I'm not scared of it, I'll tell you that. I'll shoot his ass. I'm not scared of that. But I would like to get some details on what happened. I'm not even going to try to contact Jackie unless this falls through. Because Jackie still has a lot to lose. Yeah. He's got his freedom right now. He's got his business. He's got a lot to lose. Probably got a family. I'm not counting on him to tell the truth, but I will be counting on this motherfucker to tell the truth. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for today. Not a whole lot going on. I really wanted to break this news, and we'll be back with another guest, I think maybe Sunday. We're going to try to get somebody else in here, so make sure y'all stay tuned. Me and Josh will keep y'all updated on the case, and if we turn up missing, you motherfuckers better start investigating.
Come find us, because let me tell you something. I might not be pretty, but I love myself.
Me too.
Gotta love myself so much.
Me too.
This freaking
and we love y'all, by the way.
This flaming mullet, dude. Can't let it die. So
that bitch might be bulletproof. You might be good.
You dang right. But I mean, yeah, if we come up missing or if something happens, just listen to the rest of this podcast and you'll know who the people who done it is.
Investigate for Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. Investigate the Talents, and maybe even the sample guy. He might have busted out of prison and got us. But
if COVID don't get us the Talents, we'll first.
Right. So anyway, we appreciate y'all listening. Share this shit. Let's make this shit go viral. Let's put these motherfuckers on the hot seat.
Because the more people who hear about this, and the more people who are digging in, and even if this is something that we actually don't get any different evidence out of this, at least this will get this case stirred back up. If everybody shares, if everybody starts talking about it. If it blows up, I mean, make sure you tag all your friends, because eventually somebody's going to hear about it, and the more people who hear about it, the better, because people are going to be talking about it. There's going to be information flying, and we might actually end up seeing Levi Frady be able to rest in peace finally.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Levi Frady. I promise I won't forget about you, and you're weighing on my heart right now, so I can't really. You're pretty much forcing my hand. So we're going to do our best to make sure we give GBI and the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office every opportunity and every lead we get. So anyway, we love y'all. Y'all have a great weekend, and make sure to spend it wisely. Peace.
Holla.
Thanks for tuning into the B-Max Sports Podcast.
40, 1, Lindsay, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsay, stop.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
We'll see you next week.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man. Let's go get it.